Welcome to John S. Sports Channel and League One Week 11 predictions. Yes, we've already done the Rotherham one. It was in the midweek games because it's Thursday game. Just to recap on some people's predictions on that, I'm saying that Bradford's going to win this one marginally, I'd say. You're saying 1-2, 1-3, 1-3, 0-3, 1-2, 1-2, 0-2, 0-1. You're all agreeing with me, so I'm happy to agree with you. We'll go with the first game in League One, which is the Doncaster versus Burton game. Now, of course, Doncaster, you would be expecting them to win this game rather easily. Of course, Doncaster in 10th. Won 5 so far this season against Burton in 22nd. Just won 2, lost 5. So you'd be expecting this to be a one-way game. And I'm actually going to go in with your predictions first, which I don't usually do. So Doncaster Burton 2-1, 3-1, 3-1, 2-1, 1-1, 1-1, 3-1, 2-1. So few of you thinking, actually, hang on, Burton last time out 1-0 win away at Cardiff. Cardiff are by no means easy to beat, and certainly not at home. And that crowd can get really behind them at Cardiff. So that was actually showing me that they were playing really well. Now, before I did that, the predictions on that video, if you listen to it, I did say Burton have been playing better. How much better can they play? Will they play better at Cardiff? Will it make a difference? I didn't think it would, but it certainly did. And I did predict that they could do quite well here because Burton have been playing better. So let's have a look at this game with Doncaster win, lose, 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 and last time out Luton Town, because Doncaster have been really high flying, they've dropped down quite a way now, and we have to think about that when we look at this Luton 1 Doncaster 0, because Doncaster only got one shot in the entire game here. And when you watch it, it was sort of like a dull, lackluster, mid-table game, this one. It was almost like it started with both trying to, and the commentator said that they're both trying to feel each other out. And for the first half of the game, they just seemed to be feeling each other out constantly, just a little bit further back, forward, back, lose the ball. And then the opposition team would do the same. Push forward, pull back, push forward, pull back. Indeed, there were only 4 shots at target in the entire game, and only 18 shots at target in the entire game. This game really, I suppose, should have been a 1-1 draw, or a 0-0, probably a 0-0 draw would have been probably more apt. Luton Town won this with a Kai Naismith goal on 40 minutes, and probably deserved just about to win it. However, Doncaster had marginally more shots, I suppose, but didn't do anywhere near as well with their precision. So it was probably marginally for me the right result. The last 4 games, though, defeats for Doncaster, one in the Carabao Cup, of course, against Spurs, which would probably, well, we can't really count, can we? Although it was only 3-0 away from home, so that was actually quite good, even if they did change their entire team. And then we go Burton, lose, win, lose, draw, lose, win. What was worrying me before I looked at the Cardiff result was the fact that they'd lost 4-0 to Plymouth at home. So that really did raise the alarm bells. They're either going to come out fighting and prove that they have actually been playing better football, and they have been playing better football. The whole Huddersfield 0-0 game I thought was really good. The Lincoln City defeat at home, I actually thought they played really well and probably deserve to get something from it. You have to start thinking then that this Cardiff win, perhaps it's a sign that something's changed. And I did say, like I said, that I thought that they could do something here. But Cardiff really didn't make Burton pay for their poor passing. Burton here, I thought they would come out fighting and really try and put the Plymouth game behind them. And if you look at the result, 1-0 win away to Cardiff, you'd think that they actually did that. But they didn't. Cardiff came out really well. They played astonishingly good. They passed extremely well. They managed to get into the attacking half really rather easily. With 20 shots at target and 8 of them on target, this Cardiff team was on fire. However, none of them went in the net. This Burton goalkeeper can be astonishingly good, and this defence can just be rock solid at times. But not in the right way. They still allow people to have sight of goal and have a clear shot. I think this Burton goalkeeper needs a little bit of attention. He's absolutely really good. Try not to overdo it. And I think that the Cardiff team here just couldn't get past him. Just that was the one key thing. They really should have won this one by 3, 4, 5-0, and it should have been a walkover like the Plymouth game. But Burton came through this with 2 shots on target in the entire game, winning 1-0. Was it against run of play? Absolutely. They almost had they had very few passes that actually managed to complete. Just over 100 in fact, which is pretty low. So the Burton side was quite poor. The Doncaster game though, Luton Town 1, Doncaster 0. This team has actually been playing rather well, and I was quite surprised that Doncaster only got 1 shot on target. So here, the Burton side are playing a team that aren't going to be shooting quite as willy-nilly. Not at the minute. Injuries or just general fatigue, whatever it is, they're not doing as well, this Doncaster side. And I've got a feeling it's going to be more down to people who are not on the pitch than the ones who are on the pitch. So unless you tell me down below, please do like, subscribe and comment down below on what you on whether it is purely injuries or people not in the game. I know we can sort of take that into account, but we've got to think about it with regards to the last few games. Like I say, you're thinking 2-1, 3-1s, and a couple of people thinking 1-1. I actually think that this is a time where Doncaster are they just need to keep their nerve. They're in a good 10th position, just 2 points off 6th place. They just need to stabilise, and I think that's what they're going to try and do. This is a chance to win a good 3 points against Burton, but they have been playing better. Can they keep that good luck up the run of the green? I don't know. I'm going to go with... I am actually going to go with you. I was tempted with the draw. I was going to go with the draw up to this very, very point. I'm going to go Doncaster 2, Burton 1. And I'm going to scribble that one out because I've just changed my mind. So we'll go on to the next game. Just about... Obviously, I think that could be very, very close to a draw there. Wycombe versus Barnsley next. And we'll look at the table first. Barnsley in 9th against Wycombe, who are in 20th position. Now, they've obviously started to play a little bit better, this Wycombe side, and indeed 2 wins out of their last 3 out of their last 5 wins. Lose, win, lose, win, win, lose. Last time out, a surprising for me defeat away to Wimbledon. Wimbledon 2, Wycombe 1, and they got a consolation goal really on 59 minutes. Wycombe, to me, the Wycombe side weren't in it for the first half. They came out thinking, we can't just flop like this. We surely have a bit of resurgence. We should be able to do this. And they came out fighting in the second half, but still only managed to get 1 shot on target, and that's really because totally because that Wimbledon defence can do what they did against Luton in the first game and just put a complete line across the back, and they can be absolutely solid as Yeah, and in this game they were very, very solid, but so were Wycombe's defence. I mean, there were only 3 shots, 2 for Wimbledon and 1 for Wycombe, on target in the entire game, and I don't think it was particularly a let's play for a draw. 68% possession to Wycombe. They were playing the ball well. They were passing it superbly. There was some really good technical stuff there from Wycombe. They just couldn't break past that darned Wimbledon defence. So when put up with a sort of parking the bus, they didn't quite do it, this Wycombe side. I don't think Barnsley are the sort of side to do that. They're not the side to go park the bus. They've done win-win, lose, 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 lose. The last time out, Virtue Trophy, will not count that. 2-1 away defeat to Notts County. We'll go to the last league game, which was a 2-0 home defeat to Port Vale. Port Vale started playing some good football right at the beginning, but not for the entire game. They're starting to put a few more minutes into that period where they play really well, and they're starting to get results. So Barnsley 0, Port Vale 2. Barnsley at home, 0 shots on target out of 13. I mean, that is just pants, isn't it? And the Port Vale side aren't renowned, or haven't been renowned in the videos I've seen, to be, really solid in defence. They're sort of quite an average mid-table League One side for defence. But Barnsley just couldn't get through. To have a clear shot on goal, or they were just like wellying it as hard as they could, and it went in and hit the local pigeon. On the other hand, Port Vale, decent figures. They 31% possession, so Barnsley had the possession, just didn't do anything with it. They did get into the Port Vale half. In fact, they got into the Port Vale third. They just couldn't do anything to get a shot on target. 0. So Barnsley allowed Port Vale to just be able to get a few shots, and they allowed them to get 8 shots on target, seeing the target in full. And they only got blocked twice, so Port Vale actually managed some good clinical football here and won 2-0, and they definitely deserved it. So Barnsley again just not really hitting it here, and the last 4 games, I mean, you've got to feel sorry for them. They lost 6-0 at home to Brighton. So there's been 2 cup games in there, 1 Carabao, 1 Virtue Trophy. So there's only been 2 of those 4 that have been League One games. But it does seem to have shown 4 defeats in a row. Can Barnsley turn this one around? And I'm a little bit worried, because the problem is here. Barnsley can, and they should be able to turn this one around. They are now getting, I think they're getting over some of their injury problems that some people were telling me they'd got, and I think that they're just coming out of that, and I think we may see fitness levels improving and people returning, and I think we're going to see a better Barnsley side. What are you saying? 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-1, 1-4. 3-2 to Wycombe, or 1-1 and 1-1. And you see, this really does show you lot are thinking, I haven't got a clue. This could be, you've literally got 4-1 to Barnsley, 3-2 to Wycombe. Do I see lots of goals? I see these 2 defences can let people in. It could be a high-scoring game. It could actually be a high-scoring game, but I don't know whether. It's really difficult put on the spot. This is one of the ones I really couldn't write down a result beforehand. I'm going to go with the home side. I'm actually going to go with the home side. I think that they've got the bit between their teeth. That Northampton win was a good one. Wigan win. I like Wigan, and they managed to win away 2-0 at Wigan. Wycombe. I'm gonna go with a I hate going 2-1. I'm not going to go 2-1 because a lot of people go 2-1. Let's go Wycombe 2, Barnsley 0, and we will move on to the next game, which is Blackpool versus Wimbledon. So Blackpool versus Wimbledon. This, you're all thinking this is going to be a similar sort of game where you can't quite sort of work out where these two teams, which one of these two teams is going to come out. Wimbledon in 6th position. No draws, which is quite critical here. Blackpool in 21st and 6 with 6 defeats. These are two sides that should be completely the opposite way round. I haven't got a clue why they're where they are. Blackpool, draw, lose, win, win, lose, draw. There's no sense to these results. Forget the Barrow 5-0 win in the Virtue Trophy, which was obviously one of the two wins there. A Barnsley 1-0 win at home, the start of their bad run for Barnsley, and we can see why that happened. Now this is where they started to get quite poor. Bradford City, though, they Bradford have got a great defence, but they've only just started to show they can score. They lost their 1-0, and then so a sort of poorish result, I think, for a good side like Blackpool. They've got some good players in there. And then to draw 2-2 against Lincoln City, which we'll go into now. Blackpool 2, Luton Town 2. 90 plus 1 minute equaliser from Luton Town in a penalty. And you think, that was so unlucky? Well, no, it wasn't. They were actually playing better football, Luton. 15 shots, but only 3 of them on target. Blackpool managed to make them shoot from as far out as they possibly could, or at an angle where they just couldn't possibly get it in the net. Well, they could. It's Luton, but some good football by Luton, some absolutely brilliant football, but some sort of meh football which really lost them the day here. Blackpool, though, both these teams had 3 shots on target and 2 in the net, and they were both very, very clinical when it came down to those shots that were, we can see the net, we can see the target, nobody's in the way, it's not going to get blocked. This is a save or not save opportunity, and both of them were equally as technical and brilliant in front of goal. Look, you need the run of the green sometimes, absolutely, and I'm not saying that neither of these got it, but on the day, Blackpool 2, Luton 2 was probably a good game, but this was Blackpool at what I think is one of its best. It controlled this game just enough. Luton got 62% possession. Don't get me wrong, they were in Blackpool's half, they were in Blackpool's third, but Blackpool managed to control it, even if it was with a couple of panics at the back, relatively well, and I think that they deserved the draw. That being said, Wimbledon are on a 4-match winning run. Lose, lose, win, 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 with one of those defeats, a 5-1 home defeat to Stevenage Borough in the Virtue Trophy. But again, you're probably thinking, as a Wimbledon fan, we just don't want to have anything to do with that. It's a Mickey Mouse Trophy. Why get injured when we want to just stay safe in the middle of League One? Ooh, why don't we go for promotion? This is ridiculous, but it is what it is, and I can see this. This team, they played Wycombe last time out. Wimbledon 2, Wycombe 1, and we've obviously been through this one just now. But Wimbledon, they were lucky to get this win. There was actually 3 shots on target, believe it or not. Wimbledon had 2 shots on target, 2 goals. Wimbledon had 1 shot on target, 1 goal. That just says everything about this game, doesn't it? Wimbledon allowed Wycombe to have the ball, 68% possession for Wycombe, but they just put the men at the back and said, especially when they were 2-0 up, hey, we can definitely park the bus. We parked the bus against Luton in the first game and almost did it. If we're 2-0 up, hey, we can absolutely park the bus and we should be able to keep the win against Wycombe, and they did. This is a game plan, and it's the game plan that won Wimbledon that game, and I think it's the game plan overall that's winning them these all these games. That they weren't very good against Rotherham, but the game plan got them back in it and got them a win. In fact, they should have won that game more than 2-1, 3-1, 4-1 perhaps. So I actually think that although it's a poor side, Wimbledon, and it's not as good as Blackpool, I think that Blackpool really do have a game on here, because Wimbledon, they seem to be using this game plan, this ability to just put a completely solid brick wall up right at the back line. It's not even the defence that's solid here. It's they put them right on the byline, and like Luton came all the way back to the byline before they had the ball took off them, and that's what's impressive about this Wimbledon side. So what are you saying? 0-0, 3-2, 1-2, 2-0, 2-2, 1-1, 0-0. Cannot see it being 0-0. Absolutely cannot see it being 0-0 in a million years. I could certainly see it being 1-1 or 2-2. These two sides are. Blackpool is technically better, I believe, but that Wimbledon know-how and nous up front, the managerial control here is, and the game plan is superb. But we know the boss of Blackpool and the manager of Blackpool is going to be absolutely on any of these little game changers. This is a sort of tactic that the Blackpool manager is brilliant against. And I really can see Blackpool just sneaking this one. And somebody said 3-2 there. I can't see Wimbledon letting in 3 goals in this game. However, they have done a 3-0 and a 5-0, a 3-0 and a 5-1 in the last 6 games. So they can let goals in. But I'm going to go with Blackpool 2, Wimbledon 0. I believe that the boss at Blackpool is good enough to be able to cope with this type of tactic and this brilliance by the Wimbledon manager. I think that it's going to be a game of 2 managers, if anything. This is going to be one manager against the other. Nothing to do with the players. We go to Peterborough, Bolton versus Peterborough next. And again, this is one of those situations where we expected Bolton and Peterborough to be nearer the top. Before we kicked the ball, of course, in this league, Bolton are in 11th, probably about on the bottom edge of where we expected them to be. Peterborough in 24th, completely against where we expected them to be. However, let's have a look at the games we've been seeing. Bolton win-win, draw, win-win, lose against Northampton. Shock defeat that against Northampton. Didn't expect that whatsoever. But Northampton have been just coming out with 1 or 2 really good performances. And that Northampton defeat was wrapped up with 2 really quick goals, wasn't it? 70 and 73 minutes for Northampton. And I think up to that point, it had been Bolton's for the taking. 19 shots out from Bolton, 63% possession. This is one where you can look at the stats. Just one of them. Double the amount of passes. The passing was more technical. They kept the ball better. They dribbled it better. Everything was better by Bolton as far as the gameplay, but unfortunately they play from the back, so a lot of that passing and a lot of that possession was along that back third or in their own half. However, they did. Obviously they did go out on breaks and they play from the back. Playing from the back, they straight into the Northampton half. 63% possession and 19 shots. Shows you that. They did get in there. They did lay off a fair few shots. And 6 of them were on target. So, they were clinical for once. But no goals from it. They were just darned unlucky. And the defence and the goalkeeper managed to stop all of those 6 shots on target. Very nicely, thank you. Northampton, just 3 shots from their 10 that went on target, and 2 of them went in the net. Bolton will be absolutely seething on this one. They should have got away. They should have come away with better than that one. 2-0 defeat, and they would have been absolutely gutted about that. Peterborough, lose, win, lose, win. But the last win, we've got to remember, 4-2 against Aston Villa under-21s. That's in the Virtue Trophy. We can't count that. So we go back one to the Lincoln City game. Peterborough 0, Lincoln City 3. And, of course, they've got to win the Virtue Trophy for the third time in a row, haven't they? They really have. So they'll be happy that they're still really on top of that one. Peterborough 64% possession against Lincoln City. They just couldn't get past that back third, could they? And even when they got anywhere near it, the only chance they had in this game was from long shots. 0 shots on target for Peterborough at home was a pretty poor performance, but actually they passed it really well. They just did nothing with it when they had the ball, and when they got into the fight, into the Lincoln City half, every time I was watching it, they'd immediately lose it as soon as they got 1 or 2 passes inside the the Lincoln City half. Lincoln City on the other side, 36% possession, 7 shots, 5 on target, 3 in the net. What else do you want to know? And this Lincoln City side in third are there for a reason. They've been really, really clinical and really, really technical in front of goal. Goal difference of 8, which is only 1 behind the best one, which is Cardiff of 9. I'm just making sure I've got that right. Peterborough in the bottom, and you think this is going to be. That was quite a tough task for Peterborough, but they could have done, I think, a bit better than 0 shots on target. So what have we got? We've got Bolton versus Peterborough. We've been through the Northampton game. We've been through the Lincoln City game. Both times in the league last lost 2-0 and 3-0. Bolton, for me, are... I like their football. I like the way they play from the back. I think that this Peterborough side is a little bit up and down. Though they played really well in the 1-0 win against Plymouth, and that was away. And they play, and they're difficult to beat away from home. Plymouth, if you go to Plymouth, they're really good. Wickham as well, 2-1. That Wickham side that was being a little bit jaded in this first bit of the season, hasn't it? So perhaps, I don't know where to put Peterborough. Peterborough is so up and down, more down than up at the minute. I think Peterborough just starting to turn things around. Let's see what you're saying. 2-1 is Bolton Peterborough. 2-1, 2-0, 3-1, 1-0, 4-0, 4-0, 2-0, 2-0. I don't think it's going to be a whitewash. It could be, don't get me wrong. I think if it is, then no, it can't be a whitewash, can it? No, I don't think so. They can score, Bolton, and they are at home. I'm going to go with Bolton 3, Peterborough 1. I don't, and it may be 2-1, 3-1, but I think Peterborough is just one of those teams that I can't tell at the minute, and I think it's one of those which one's going to turn up for as far as Peterborough's concerned. Cardiff Orient next, and we've got of course Cardiff last time. What a defeat! Cardiff in 4th now, and Orient in 17th. There's very little to say about these two sides. Cardiff have been really, really strong, and they can score quite easily, especially at home, and that crowd can be really, really intimidating. Draw, win, lose, win, win, lose. Their defence at home, somebody keep that, has told me a few times from Cardiff, their defence at home is brilliant. We let in very, very few goals at home. They said out of the last 6 games they've played 2 games at home and they've lost both of them. 3-1 at home. 3-1 at home to Bradford and 1-0 last time out to Burton. 82 minutes, Charlie Webster winner for Burton Albion against Cardiff last time out in midweek. But Cardiff had 77% of possession, but there's no use having 77% possession if you don't shoot. Well, they did. They got into the final third. They had 20 shots on at target, 8 of them on target. Burton, we went through this before. I'm not going to go through the same game again, but Cardiff should have ran away with this game at least 3 or 4-0. They'll be absolutely gutted they didn't win that one. It's a Cardiff side that really, to me, is on fire. They're able to shoot. They're able to shoot on target. It's only when they get a goalkeeper that can absolutely provide some really entertaining saves like Burton's can, and he has done in the past in this season recently. So it's only when that happens that they can get scuppered. Orient, lose, win, draw, lose, and they've let in 5 goals in 2 games. This Orient side, it was Orient 2, Stevenage 3 the last time out, and Stevenage really never, to me watching this game, they never seemed to look like they were gonna lose it. Okay, Orient had the ball more, or okay, they passed it marginally more than what Stevenage did, and they passed it a little bit better, a little bit. I think the technicality from the Orient side was really good. The Stevenage goalkeeper can be a little bit iffy at times, and that comes from the Stevenage fans telling us that. So I think that we're going to see a possible high-scoring game like we have with that one. I think that Stevenage, when they had the ball, were just more clinical when they had the ball, and the ball just ran from them a little bit more. But in that game, I think the Orient actually played really, really solidly. They just didn't quite. They just didn't quite get those the chance to get out of their own half. They were playing it really well. Good passing, keeping the ball, dribbling it well. They just didn't do anything with it. Can they do anything with it against the Cardiff side that for me, like I say, is on fire at home? I don't think so. What are you thinking? Cardiff, Leyton Orient 1-0, 2-1, 4-1, 2-1, 2-0, 3-1, 2-0, 1-0. I'm going to go with them. I'm actually going to go with one of you. I actually am. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to go with Cardiff 4, Leyton Orient 1. And we'll go to the next one because I know you want to be quick. Huddersfield versus Stockport County next. And Huddersfield not doing as well as we thought at the beginning, but they certainly seem to have picked things up a bit now. 5th position for them. Stockport County in 8th. And I think they both sort of died down a little bit now and calmed down and Huddersfield have had their good periods and their bad periods. Even though we're 11 games in, they've had 2 or 3 game runs of playing good and then playing bad, and you're thinking, okay, where are they at the minute? Win, lose, draw, lose, win, lose. But those 2 last defeats we can wipe off. Man City in the Carabao Cup 2-0. We wiped that one off. That was a defeat. And Harrogate Town in the Virtue Trophy away 1-0. That's in the Virtue Trophy. We'll wipe that one off, which gives us win, lose, draw, win. So they're actually not doing too badly. They're playing a decent football. Exeter 0, Huddersfield 1 last time out in the league, and Huddersfield really. There seemed to be a game where Exeter just seemed to park the bus and not let them through. Now, Huddersfield were intent on shooting. Whenever they got anywhere near that goal, it was let's have a shot on goal. Look, it was almost 50-50 possession-wise. And when you look at the game, it really did seem sort of more Huddersfield lent. But Statistically, it wasn't. So this is where statistics don't really come into it. All we have to know is that they had almost 24 shots at target, Huddersfield. They were just firing whenever they got the ball anywhere near the final third, for God's sake. Only one of them on target, though. Only one on target. And, two really clear shots, really clear chances. They should really have been 2-0 up, this team, but just didn't quite get it. A little bit too haphazard at times, but I'm sure that will that the run of the green will come for them. In this game, it didn't. Of the two teams here, I think Huddersfield, certainly their defence wasn't cracking. That's the only thing. They let Exeter in far too many times, or sight of goal for far too many times. They should have been, with that possession, being able to push them back and keep them in their own half. But they Exeter on the break are actually quite dangerous. So Huddersfield, they're doing quite well. 1-0 away from home. Should have been a couple more at least. Stockport County draw, win, lose, draw, win, draw. There's a win there. Wimbledon. Wolverhampton Wanderers 5-3 win at home. We'll take that out. That's a Virtue Trophy win. 4-2 defeat against Plymouth away. A 1-0 away win to Rotherham that should have been probably a couple more. And a shitty referee. And Reading 1-1. We'll go with a Reading 1-1. Stockport 1, Reading 1, and Stockport went ahead on 22. This was actually rather a sort of even game for me. I know that Stockport had more shots. I know that they looked more likely to score, but I think that Reading were more clinical. I enjoyed their passing more, for one start. Passing, the technical ability, the dribbling of the Reading side was better. Even if Stockport did manage to, on the break, take Reading down a couple of times, a little bit easy for me. Stockport 1, Reading 1's probably the right result here. Lots of clear-cut chances, which proves that the defences on both sides weren't that great. And I think that's where I come from here. Stockport's defence can be a little bit rocky, and it can be that the goalkeeper, from what I'm hearing, can be a bit hit and miss. I'm going to be saying that if you have a goalkeeper like that against Huddersfield, this is a sign of desperation, isn't it? What are you saying? 1-0, 3-1, 3-1, 2-2, 0-0, 2-0, 1-1, and 2-1. I'm actually, I think that Stockport can score. And I think that they've been getting the run of the green. They've been playing some really good football up front occasionally. I think that they will score. It's a case of how many will Huddersfield score. Huddersfield 3, Stockport 1. Let's go Lincoln City versus Exeter, shall we? Lincoln City are in 3rd position. Exeter are in 18th. And of course, here we've got a game where we're going to have to really watch for those nice runs that Lincoln City can do. And I think that let's have a look at the last 6. Draw, win-win, lose, win-win. The loss was 2-1 at home in the Carabao Cup to Chelsea. So actually, they played really, really well. So let's not take that away from them. You could almost call that a win, really, and that would be 5 in a row. But it's in the league, at least. Make sure it's not Carabao. Oh, there is Virtue Trophy 3-0 win against Manchester United as well last time out. So we can't count that one either. So 2 of the last 4 wins we can't count. However, Peterborough 3-0 win was the last league game. Peterborough 0, Lincoln 3. Already done this one. I think Peterborough had all the possession, tapping it around nicely. Lincoln, when they had it, just managed to take them on the break and get, and they were more precise, more technical. 7 shots, 5 on target, 3 in the net, says it all. And this is one that particular stat for that game is really, really good. Like I say, don't always look at the stats, guys. It doesn't really work in a lot of the cases. Exeter City win, lose. Lost to Rotherham, and I really don't know how. Huddersfield last time out. Exeter 0, Huddersfield 1. Like I say, Huddersfield were just cracking shots off for the sake of it, but 23 shots, 1 on target, and that it did look like that in the game. It looked like there were that many. A lot of them blocked. There were 10 shots blocked, which just goes to show how many people Exeter got behind the ball to make sure if they did shoot lower than head high, that was going to get blocked. So Huddersfield were doing well, just not planning, looking up first before okay, there's 6 people in the blocking me. If I shoot it, let's try and get some of them out of the way. There's ways and means of doing it, and the Huddersfield side didn't quite have that look up first before you shoot. But Exeter really did do a reasonable job of keeping them out, didn't they? Blocking or having them miss 22 of the 23 shots, and only 1 on target. It went in the net. How unlucky were Exeter? But Huddersfield should have absolutely slaughtered them here. And I can't help thinking that this, the fact that the last defeat for Lincoln City was Chelsea at home is no mean feat, and this could actually end up being a rather difficult game for Lincoln City. What are you saying here? 1-0, 2-1, 1-2, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1 and 3-1. I'm actually going to play my joker, and I'm going to go Lincoln City 4, Exeter 0, and we'll quickly disappear before I get in. Look, do like and subscribe. Keep me on the in here, because it will it just about keeps my head above water if you give me 1 or 2 subscriptions, please. For those who stayed behind, Plymouth versus Wigan. Sounds like a bit of a school thing, doesn't it? Have you stayed behind? Yeah, been a naughty boy. Plymouth versus Wigan, and that's probably a good statement for Plymouth, isn't it? Sometimes they just play, where did that team come from? Because that is ridiculous. I mean, I've seen several games where they've been really, really on top. Lots of shots, but just none of them on target and none of them in the net. Peterborough defeat there, I think 1-0. That was one of them. We had a Plymouth fan online. He said, "This is ridiculous. We should be ahead of this one. We should be slaughtering them, but we're nowhere near it." And he says, "How are we not winning it? How are we losing it?" Win, lose, win. The last 2 wins: 6-2 against Tottenham under-21s in the Virtue Trophy. Sorry guys, can't allow that one. Burton 0, Plymouth 4. And to be honest, the next game Burton should have equally lost by 3 or 4 as well. Plymouth here were more clinical. They were more technical. They let Burton in rather too many times, but Burton didn't really punish them for it. They did have shots. I mean, they had 12 shots in this game. Burton had the ball more. Plymouth just managed to let them have the ball in order to let them make a mistake and let them in, and they punished them then for the mistake, and that's what they did. They just waited, gave Burton the ball, let them make their own mistakes in their own half, constantly passing it around in their own half, and then they'd take it from them and bang, it's in the back of the net. This was a good game plan from Plymouth, and it worked. 15 shots, 9 on target, 4 in the net. It just clearly worked, didn't it? However, it's not always been working, and there have been times where it clearly hasn't. You've got to remember they're in 15th position, won 4, right? Lost 6. Now in the last 6 games, that's 1, 2, So that's Virtue. 1 league game win, 2 league game wins. That's 3 league game wins in the last 6. So they've that's 3 of the wins in the last 6. So there's only been 1 win in the previous 4 league games. So then there has been. They started off pretty poorly. They seem to have just got back into it, and even the Peterborough defeat on the September the 20th seemed to be a bit out of tilt. They should have won that one really easily. Wigan, lose, draw, win, lose, lose, lose. Last time out against Cardiff, we mentioned that. Wigan, 90 plus 5 minutes, red card for Morgan Fox. Never mind. So this is a side that against Cardiff lost 2-0 at home. Cardiff ran it really. They passed the ball well. They passed it in both halves. They had good possession, great football, great passing, great technical ability, great dribbling. Everything was great about Cardiff. Wigan, they had a couple of good bursts out of the box. They had a couple of chances and realistically just didn't quite hit it. This Wigan side can play football. I keep telling you, this Wigan side can play some good football. And on and off they have done, but it's been more off than on. What are you thinking out there for Plymouth versus Wigan? 2-0, 2-0, 1-2, 2-1, 2-2, 1-3, 3-1 and 3-0. Actually, I'm thinking that Wigan do have that good side. Can they turn up against Plymouth? And I think that they could very well do a 3-0 win. They did do a 3-0 win against Doncaster. Their last win, in fact, was a 3-0 win against Doncaster at home. And I think that they possibly could do it, but Plymouth are really good at home, and I don't think they're going to get much of the ball here. We're going to go with Plymouth 3, Wigan 0, and move on to the last 3 games, which is Port Vale versus Northampton. Trying to go quick for you here. Port Vale. Win, lose, win, win, lose, win. The last loss was Arsenal 2-0 in the Carabao Cup. We can't count that. But they have been playing really well. The Barnsley win, Barnsley 0, Port Vale 2. Barnsley have been playing pretty ropey, and both sides had poor defences here. Port Vale just happened to have a really good attack to go with it. Barnsley, no shots on target. Port Vale, 8 of their 14 on target and 2 in the net. Sort of like pretty average performance as far as up front. Defensive wise, a little bit not as good there, even though they let none in. Barnsley weren't making them pay for their even when they had lots of shots. Northampton, win, 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 lose, win, win. They seem to be on fire, don't they? Chelsea 3-0 win in the Virtue Trophy. Can't really count that one. Last time out, Bolton at home. 2 goals in 3 minutes there for Northampton. And realistically, it should have been possibly 2-1 the other way round. Northampton only had 37% possession, but they had 10 shots. They kept bursting into the Bolton half and actually getting a good shot off. And the reason why that you can tell that is because Bolton had an awful lot of the possession. They really did. If you look at it, they really did have it all the time in the Northampton half quite regularly. Playing from the back, going forward, playing from the back, going forward. They were brilliant. But Northampton, 3 shots, 3 shots on target, 2 in the net. Just happened to take this one completely against the run of play. And realistically, they've been playing the teams at the time when they've not really played that well. Blackpool win, 1-0. But they weren't playing that well. Orient win 1-0, but they weren't playing that well at that point in time. Exeter 2-0 win, and Exeter aren't really that great at the minute. So they've just been playing the right team at the right time this side, and I'm just a little bit worried this Port Vale side have managed to start getting this this ticking over really well. And that the Carabao Cup 2-0 home defeat to Arsenal, I tell you, that was it just showed you how good they can play. Port Vale Northampton 1-1, 0-2, 4-1, 0-1, 2-0, 0-0, 2-1, 2-2. I think this is going to be a Port Vale win. I think that Northampton can and probably will score. I'm going to go for my own score here. I'm going to go Port Vale 3, Northampton 1. It might even be 3-2, you know. Might even be 3-2. We'll go to the Reading game then against Mansfield. And poor Mansfield side beat Rotherham last time out, but should Rotherham have got a penalty? Should Reading have got a red card? Mansfield got a red card. I don't know. There's a few people a bit upset at Rotherham. Let's look. Reading, lose, win, lose, draw, win. Last time out, the win 3-1 against West Ham. The trophy can't count that. Stockport County, though, we can. Stockport 1, Reading 1. And Reading here showed that they can play a good defensive game, and they can pass the ball really well. Even when their opposition Stockport were also passing the ball well, so were Reading, and Reading did really well here, coming back to equalise on 72. I think that this game was a little bit more even than what you think. Some Stockport fans obviously think, we had a lot more shots than them. Yeah, but they went haywire. They were, way off target. 5 times as many shots off target than for Stockport than Reading. Literally was about right as well. So this is one where you can probably look at the stats. Reading, I think they deserved it. They may not have been as technical as great the number of shots at getting them off, but they were technically I think just that bit better in the game to make up for it. So a Mansfield draw, lose, draw, lose, win. The only win there last time out against Rotherham United. Mansfield 2, Rotherham 1. Rotherham doing well until that penalty, and then 7 minutes they seem to just sort of sit back and let Mansfield have the ball. 3 shots on target for Rotherham, 7 for Mansfield. And we have to look at this and think a lot of moaning from Rotherham fans about the referee bomb. We'll sort of cancel that one out. 15 shots for Mansfield. Yeah, I mean they did run this game. They ran Rotherham ragged. It should have been more than 2-0 to be 2-1 to be quite honest. It should have been about 3-0. So Mansfield have been sort of they've been quite poor recently, and against Rotherham they were dreadful. But Rotherham were even worse. So we had 2 poor sides here. We can't take that win as being a good Mansfield win. It was awful. It's just that Rotherham were even worse. So I just like it's a difficult one. There's only one win there. If we take off the cup games, there's only one. There's one win each. Can't really count the Rotherham one. The Orient one for Reading. It was against Orient. I mean, yeah, it was okay, but it wasn't their best performance of the last 6. I don't think. Probably the Stockport draw was, which was more recent, of course. That's the one we were looking at, the last league game. So what are you thinking? 2-1, 2-1, 1-3, 0-0, 0-1, 1-0, 1-1 and 3-2. I'm actually going to go with one of you. I'm going to go Reading 1, Mansfield 0, and just sneaking it at home there. Stevenage versus Luton for the last game. And of course, Luton Town expecting to go straight back up, and hoping to go to heaven that they do. Stevenage, though, in 2nd, Luton in 7th, and there's not much difference between these two sides as far as technicality is concerned. I don't think they both can score quite at will. However, I think when you come up with a brick wall style of play, they tend to sort of not quite be able to get through it all the time. However, Stevenage did when they played Wimbledon. It was Wimbledon 1, Wimbledon 1, Stevenage 5. So, but on par, that seemed to me to be quite against their usual inability to play against a sort of really solid back part of the bus type play. But it worked against them in this game. Lose, win, win, draw, win, win, and this side does seem to be getting relatively good now. They seem to be doing a bit better. You have to look at the fact that in the last 4 games they've let a goal in each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals they've let in 4 games. They are constantly letting a goal in, which means that they do need to sort of tighten up that back end. However, they're playing Luton Town, and Luton Town are very, very good and clinical when they get sight of goal, which does worry me because we know Stevenage can score, but we know they can and will let something in at the back at some point. Leyton Orient was the last game. Orient 2, Stevenage 3, and here Orient really did nothing with it. Played it brilliantly. Good passing, good control, good dribbling. Just not doing anything with it. If you play it in your own half, you ain't going to get very far. They did take on the break a couple of times, and they did deserve at least one of the... I mean, they had 2 shots on target and 2 goals. So, they were very good when they got those 2 shots, and they have been all season. But... Orient here just not quite ticking it for me. They needed to make more of that 62% possession. Stevenage, though, they have made a lot of 11 shots out of their 38% possession. 8 of them on target, 3 in the net. They were really good up front. When they got in that final half, they made sure that they got a clear shot, if they could, on target before letting one off. And it worked. 3-2. I think they'd have been disappointed that they let 2 in. But that's the problem here with the Stevenage side, isn't it? As we go to Luton Town. Now, Luton Town obviously started thinking they were going to do really well in this league. Win, win, lose, lose, win, draw. We have to go to the last one, of course, which is the draw. Blackpool 2, Luton Town 2. A penalty on 90 plus 1 minutes gave Luton Town a draw here. Blackpool will have been absolutely livid. They let this one in. 3 shots on target each. Look, Blackpool allowed Luton to play the ball. They allowed them to have possession because on par, they didn't really overly attack the Blackpool final third. They did get in there. They did have a plenty of shots. But as far as clear, open chances, probably 0 open, clear opportunities. Blackpool did a good job in that defence, and they don't seem, Luton, at times to be able to get past a really solid defence. But Stockport's not like... Stevenage aren't like that. So I'm just a little bit worried that for Stevenage, because they'll probably allow them in a little bit too often, and they can be really, really deadly when they get through into the box and have an open shot. I think this one could be really too far one way. What are you saying? 1-1, 2-1, 1-1, 2-1, 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, and 0-1. I'm actually going to go, and I'm going to agree with only one person. I'm only agreeing with one of you. I'm actually going to go with Stevenage 0, Luton Town 2, and I'm going to call that a quit for Saturday's League One games. And do like and subscribe. Please do like and subscribe. Consider giving me a click, keeping me on the channel and going. It does excite me when I get 1 or 2 people subscribing. And I'll see you for the next prediction video. John Esser Sports Channel. Like and subscribe.